Hello, Moonbeams, and welcome back to the channel. This is Donna and you're here at the Mystic Moon School. And today we are here to discuss the Cancer New Moon. And I have this beautiful synchronicity that I'm going to share with you all today as we unpack the Cancer energies, the New Moon energies. But I do want to share with you that this synchronicity came in so strong for me. I had just finished reading a book, which I will share with you in just a few moments, this morning, actually, before I recorded this podcast. And the title for this podcast came in so strongly, and it is Nurture the Higher Vision for Your Life. And I feel this is just so beautiful. And I can't wait to unpack all of these energies for you. But first, I'd like to share that I am still doing readings, solar return chart readings, natal chart readings, conscious parenting readings, where we look at your children's charts, and so that you can really get the blueprint for your kids, right? Like how to best support them, how to best tap into their potential, how to best communicate with them, right? So many things you can ascertain from the chart. So if you are interested in having a reading with me or any coaching sessions, I am a certified life coach, and I have all of those offerings on my website. I do have to go in and change some of my availability because that has changed. But in any event, you can always send me an email too and just say, hey, I'd like to do a session. You can jump on. We can have a 30-minute free consult call and decide which session would be best for you at this time in your life. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The other thing I love to share every single podcast, and many of you have gone on the website and have downloaded these for free, I have created for you a guide to living by the moon phases, which is a perennial evergreen booklet where I go through, each page is one of the 9 moon phases that the moon moves through every single month, every single year. So you can print this out, you can put it in a little folder for yourself, and you will refer to it again and again and again. And this is free for you. Each page is a different moon phase. I explain the phase and how to best tap into those energies. If any of you have been using this, can you please leave a comment? How has it helped you? How's it supported you? Has it been helpful? I hope it has. And then the other free digital download that I have for you is I created to be a companion to this guide. Is each month has its own page, so it goes by date. So if you're looking at the screen right now, just as the example, I started in March because that is the time of the beginning of the new astrological year every year. And so you can see here on March 3rd, we had the waxing crescent moon. On March 6th, we had the first quarter, and so on. And so you would use this by date. And then, so let's say it's the first quarter moon, then you open up the guide to living by the moon phases. You read what the first quarter moon is all about. How do you tap into those energies? How do you work with them instead of against them? And you really find yourself more in flow, more balanced, more cyclical, finding the right energy for the right time of the month. Okay, and again, those are free for you. So please hop on over to the website, download those, print them out. And if you have been using them, please leave a comment and let me know how that's going. Okay, so I would like to begin in earnest now our Cancer New Moon energies, what this is about. And first, I'm going to start with Cancer energies and the new moon. So As many of you who've been around the channel for a while, you already know that new moons are the beginning, the very beginning of the new monthly cycle for the moon. Excuse me. So, new moon, new beginning. It is intrinsic in the energies that we are starting something new. Now, what comes with that? Beginner mindset, right? When we're starting something new, there's usually, not always, but a lot of times there's a learning curve, right? There's a like a processing time. There is a, okay, let me get my sea legs, and I'm gonna have beginner's mind. I'm learning. I'm not trying to get it all perfect, right? I'm not trying to get it all done right now this second. I'm starting something new. And that is really potent here at this new moon for Cancer. Now, for those of you who have Cancer in, your big three, you're going to be very familiar with these energies. So the spectrum of energies, as I teach, there's no judgment, there's no good, there's no bad, there's no positive, there's no negative. It's a spectrum of energies. Every place on this spectrum, whether you call it illuminations, the highest expressions, the way I do, or the shadow aspects, which are there to challenge you and to help you grow and evolve, it's all for our growth, all of it. So what is the spectrum of energies for Cancer? Well, Cancer is the crab. And as many of us know out there, there is a season for those of you who might have tried this or have eaten this before, that there is the soft shell crab season, which, side note, is kind of cruel, right? Because this is the time of year when crabs are not in their shell. They're vulnerable. They're completely vulnerable. And what do? We scoop them up and then we cook them up with butter and garlic and sage, and they're delicious. But there's there's a cruelty to that, isn't there? Because we're scooping them up when they're in their most vulnerable state. And so Cancer is extremely vulnerable energies. Cancer will flow because it is a water sign. So it will flow from being open and vulnerable and sharing it all, fully exposed, right? Sometimes even oversharing. Or it will really double down on that hard shell and cover up all the vulnerabilities and build that shell as if it is a fortress and not let anyone in and not let anything out, and just kind of retreat back into the shell, right? And so there is this whole kind of flow that the Cancer energies, whether you have prominent Cancer yourself in your chart, or you're just tapping into these new moon energies, you may be feeling any manner of this emotional spectrum at this new moon and in the next, I would say, couple of days. So if you are feeling maybe a little bit of an overflowing, a wanting to release those vulnerabilities, share those vulnerabilities, expose that emotional center that you are feeling very prominently right now, I would say be careful who you share this with. Make sure that they are a trusted person in your life, well established. And also, if it is a lot that you want to be sharing, make sure, right, that you kind of make sure that that person is ready to receive whatever it is that you want to share, that they're in an emotional place to receive or to hold space for you, right? Because remember, they're feeling these energies too. Okay, and so they may be anywhere on that spectrum. Maybe they're in their shell a little bit more. So we all can be more sensitive, not only to ourselves and our own emotional needs, but to those around us. And so another really beautiful way to let these emotions, these emotional thoughts, these emotions to flow out of you is to journal. And I know that resonates deeply for so many of you out there, but for some people it's like, I've tried journaling. I can never seem to do it. So I have a few suggestions. One, you can open up, if you have this sort of like notes app on your phone, and you can just dictate into it. You don't even have to type text, right? Like you don't have to write. You can speak it and get it out that way. You can sit at your laptop and open up, like a Word document and just let it flow through the fingertips into the keyboard and, do like an online type of journal, diary, whatever you want to call it. And, for those of you who do have a journal practice and you do enjoy writing, this might be a really wonderful way to just let it all out onto the page. Because one thing is for certain, when we get it out of our mind and our hearts, we're moving the energy. We're moving it into the word form. And it no longer is taking up so much space within you. And we don't want to carry this energetically around with us if it needs to flow out, right? We want to open the valve. Remember, Cancer's water, it needs to flow. So we want to open that valve and we want to let these energies out in some form of expression. That being said, maybe you're an artist, maybe you're a creative of some sort. And so find your outlet to let the emotional energy out. Anything you're feeling vulnerable about, you're not sure about, you feel like something new is coming forth and you're not totally sure, but you have some ideas, get it down on paper, in art, in film, on Canva. Like, any way, shape, or form that you can let it flow, that's going to help you. Okay. So the other major energy that I am feeling so strongly, and it's in the title here, that is Cancer energy, is the word nurture. Now, this is really super significant at this new moon. Now, I want to remind you that Cancer, the sign, is ruled by the moon. Okay, so every sign in the zodiac has a ruling planet. Cancer is ruled by the moon. Again, the water energy. So with a new moon, the moon is obscured in the sky. We cannot see her on the day of the new moon. She is too close to the sun. In fact, conjunct the sun, meaning that they are in complete alignment in the sky. And so we cannot see her. She has no light. She is more introverted. She is in the shell, okay, at the new moon. And so if you are feeling like you need to nurture your introverted side, you're needing to nurture your quiet time, just being home, or maybe going out in nature or going to the beach, but by yourself. Like, there is nothing wrong with you, okay? Like, alone time is so important for all of us, no matter where you are in the spectrum of introvert, introvert, extrovert, ambivert. you may just feel like, I'm not feeling super social today. I'm feeling like I want a little bit more quiet time to myself. I want to go take a walk in nature. I want to go walk the beach. I want to just stay at home and read my book and be quiet and have a cup of tea, or like whatever it is for you, right? I don't feel like going to yoga class, but maybe I'll go on YouTube and I'll find a yoga video to do at home by myself. So that's part of this nurturing energy at this new moon, but that's only part of it. And I want to acknowledge that Cancer, prominent Cancer people, and these Cancer energies have a tendency to over give, to over nurture, maybe even to the point of enabling others in their own dependency, okay, in their own, dare I say, lack of motivation or laziness. I hate that word, but so just be aware, okay? Tap into how much do I nurture the closest people in my life, and is it in balance? In other words, am I supportive, and do I have an overall nurturing energy, but do I overdo it? Or do I nurture when it's specifically needed? Do I just have an overall nurturing energy and people sense that from me? Or do I kind of cross the line at times for the closest people in my life and nurture them to the point where they're not doing for themselves? Right? That's the question with Cancer when it comes to nurturing. So because Cancer is ruled by the moon, and this is a fourth house energy, the mothering, nurturing energy is very strong. But one of the lessons for Cancer people, one of the lessons is to find that balance of learning to nurture yourself and others in your life. That you learn to nurture others, but never at your own expense, to what your emotional needs are, your physical needs, your mental needs, whatever it may be. And certainly not to enable others to become dependent on you, right? So therefore you feel needed. That is the key right there. That's the piece to become aware of. Am I overdoing it with people in my life because on a deep subconscious level, maybe I have a wound where I'm only valued if I am needed by others? Because that is an old narrative that no longer applies. And we cannot nurture ourselves and our needs, our emotional needs to begin with. And we certainly cannot nurture the higher vision of our life if we are too busy moving in a way that just feeds that deep core wound. We cannot rise into our purpose. We cannot live the higher vision of our lives, each of us, if we are still unaware of what that wound is, that core wound, and are we feeding into the patterns of that? And that's going to look different for everybody. But to be fair, if you're a human on the planet, you have a core wound. You have Chiron in your chart. That's your core wound, at least one spot to for me to identify that core wound in your chart. And so this experience here, this life, is your soul's journey to healing that. Because once we embark on this path of awareness and awakening, and we start to see what our own core wounds are on an individual basis, and we begin that healing journey, doing the inner work, taking the accountability, understanding where it came from, but how then we have been perpetuating it unconsciously throughout our lives, then we can begin to alter that course, to start to heal it, to start to choose consciously, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. Because I know that where that's coming from now. Once we begin that process and we get far enough along on that path of healing, then things start to shift and change in our external world. And then we can begin to tap into this higher vision for our life, our purpose. Why did we come here? What did we come to contribute? Not just to our own joy and our own sort of everyday path, but how does that feed into the bigger picture of humanity? What did I come here to contribute? And that doesn't only mean the tangible, it's tied to the energetic. There is no separation. Okay, so what I mean is when you begin on this healing journey, when you start to identify what your core wounds are and how they manifested in your life, and how you can bring healing and forgiveness and a higher perspective of, oh yes, my soul chose that and it chose these people to help me play this out. And now it's time for me to see it from a higher perspective, that this is what my soul chose to evolve through this experience in my life. And then once I begin to heal that and really get to a certain point where I'm like, okay, this is not running me anymore, then I can see how this new healed version of myself is allowing in more creativity, more joy, more inspired action, more inspired ideas, more creativity overall, more energies of collaboration and wanting to create something bigger than yourself. This is the higher vision that I'm talking about. So for those of you who this resonates for, let me ask you this. Where are you on your healing journey? Have you begun to become really aware of what your own core wounds are? Have you been working on them? Because by the way, we're never done working on them. We just get to a point where they're not running us unconsciously anymore. Okay, that's the difference. But where are you on your healing journey? And are you starting to see the glimmers of the higher vision for your life? I would love to know in the comments, where are you on this path? And remember, we are a caring, compassionate community here. So this is a safe space to leave your comments. And I encourage everyone to kind of read through, if there are comments, to read through and support each other, because energetically, this is how we shift humanity, the collective, the planet. There is no separation at all. Energetically, it's all connected. It is a web of connections energetically, whether you're talking about a blade of grass or an owl or an alligator or the waters on the planet or the air or the people. Everything and anything, it is all connected energetically. And so when we each individually begin to nurture ourselves, nurture our emotional needs, nurture our mental health, nurture our creativity. And yes, you are creative. If you are here listening to this and you're like, oh, I'm not creative. Yes, you are. Open your understanding of what creativity is. When do you get a good idea? When do you find a solution to something? When do you figure out a better way of doing something? That's all your creativity. Creativity is not making art. That is one manifestation of creativity. And so let's broaden our understanding, because we are all creative beings. So how are you beginning to nurture that in your life? Because we are all on the precipice now. We are all here beginning to see this higher vision for our lives, our own individual lives. It's starting to coalesce. It's starting to manifest. I would love to hear if you are at this stage of your life. And if you're not, just hold on, because it's coming down the pike. It's in the hopper, as they say, okay? Now, before we get to the questions for reflection that I have for you for this Cancer new moon, I want to just share with you the beautiful synchronicity that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. So not a lot of people know this about me, but I have my master's degree in literature, and for many years while I was like stay-at-home mom, I was also, every once in a while, I was teaching as an adjunct at various different colleges around where I live. And I taught writing and general humanities and fiction. And since I was a girl, I've always been a reader. Like, I've always loved books from a very young age. I mean, I remember the very first book that I actually read for the first time out loud to myself. It was Are You My Mother? And oh my gosh, I can't remember. It's like, it looks like a Dr. Seuss book, but if anyone remembers the name of Are You My Mother, can you put it in the comments? Because that's going to drive me crazy. But anyway, books have been a huge, books and stories have been an energetic, almost angelic force in my life, because I have moved through, I have processed, and I have alchemized so many energies in my life through reading. And I'm curious to know if this resonates with anyone else, if you have this connection with books and stories. And so what I've come to realize in the last 2 years is that certain books will find me when I'm ready for them spiritually, when I'm ready for them as that next little bit of growth, that next bit of expansion. So, and it's been so magical and synchronistic, and it has brought me so much joy to know that this is one of the forces in my life that guides me. And so maybe it is my soul group, maybe it is my angelic team, my higher self, but I am guided to choosing certain books. They find me, I find them, I feel drawn to them, I start reading them, I get right into them, and then all of the next level messages that I need to hear, to understand, to process, they all are coming through that book. And so a couple weeks ago, I found this incredible, if you're local, check out the book barn in Denville. They have a little bit of funky hours, but it is so worth it if you can get over there, because they are a secondhand bookshop, a little bit of a thrift shop, and it's all volunteer run, and the book prices are insanely low. Anyway, I was there a couple weeks ago, and many years ago I read the Celestine Prophecy, and it blew my mind. And then I was in this bookshop, the book barn, just 2 weeks ago, and I came across the second book, James Redfield's second book, called The 10th Insight. holding the vision. And I was blown away because I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that this existed. And so the Celestine Prophecy is about the first 9 insights. And so I was drawn to the book. I took it home and I wasn't able to put it down. And it is exactly where I am in my own journey now. I am at the point now where I am in large measure integrating on a regular basis the 9 insights. And the 10th insight is about holding that vision for yourself, for others, and for the world, humanity at large. And the thing is that what I realized in reading the book is that even before I got the book, that's what I had been doing. And really, truly, I had been doing it my whole life because I have Neptune on my ascendant. And so I am one of those perpetual optimists. Like, you cannot bring me down with negativity. It is very hard to do. I will always see the silver lining. I will always I've always held the vision that there can be something better for you, for me, for all of us. And I have complete and total faith that that is where humanity is headed. And that is the 10th insight. And I want to just read to you a little passage at the end of the book that really ties it together. Let's see. Oh, I have it here. Okay. So here it goes. Now, I want to also say this was written 20 years ago, guys. Okay, 20 years ago. James Redfield wrote this. You would think it was written today. Are you ready? The polarization of fear is still rising. And if we are to resolve it and move on, each of us must participate personally. We must watch our thoughts and expectations very carefully and catch ourselves every time we treat another human being as an enemy. We can defend ourselves and restrain certain people, but if we dehumanize them, we add to the fear. We are all souls in growth. We all have an original intention that is positive, and we can all remember our responsibility to hold that idea for everyone. Our responsibility is to hold that idea for everyone we meet. That is the true interpersonal ethic. That's how we uplift. That's the contagion of the new awareness that is encircling the planet. We either fear that human culture is falling apart, or we can hold the vision that we are awakening. Either way, our expectation is a prayer that goes out as a force that tends to bring about the end we envision. Each of us must consciously choose between these two futures. This is nurturing the higher vision for your life and for humanity. I have some questions for reflection here for you for this Cancer new moon, and I'll read them out loud. If your higher self could speak clearly to you, what would she or he tell you is the purpose here in this lifetime? If you could tap into your joy, creative thinking, creative ideas, artistic inspirations, your sense of love and compassion for all, if you could see everyone, even the most challenging people, as souls who are all on a soul journey to evolve, what would you spend more time working on? Not just for your own enjoyment, but also because it can somehow uplift others. How can you realistically and practically nurture more of this energy in your everyday life? So I ask you to hold the vision, to nurture the vision for yourself. Did you just come here to, work a job, pay the bills? Did you just come here to focus on the things that aren't going right in your life, the challenges, the difficulties, and allow it to lower your energy? Or did you come here to uplift? Did you come here to awaken and take your breath every morning and say, thank you for another day? What am I going to create today? How am I going to make the best of today? And whatever doesn't come together, tomorrow's another day. Did you come here to flow with the uncertainty and allow it to evolve by having faith and trust in your journey and in the higher forces that are guiding you and loving you? How can you nurture your vision for your life? Because once you begin to do that, we all begin to do that, the whole of humanity is now uplifting and awakening. So I leave you with those thoughts. I hope you feel supported and inspired. Please share some of your thoughts in the comments. And I feel so grateful to be here and to have your time and energy, even for a little while, means so much to me. So thank you for listening. I'm wishing you a beautiful, nurturing Cancer new moon today. And I will see you all soon under the moon. Bye-bye for now.